Hey guys, so this is more of a vlog style video because the topic I'm talking about today is more of a casual topic. A lot of the channels on YouTube out there are just very humongous. Like not humongous, but pretty big, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And there's thousands upon thousands of them out there. And what I noticed in this YouTube universe after stumbling past thousands of these channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers and just observing them and seeing what I can take from them and use to make my videos better is that a lot of these people are just going on producing their content, not really aware of how vast YouTube is and how many different channels are out there also thriving and doing pretty darn well. And there's nothing really wrong with this because there's so many niches and there's nothing, it's like if they don't relate to you, like sure there's a channel on gaming, but if you're doing makeup, that doesn't really matter. Like even if you wanted to collab, that's kind of far-fetched. So there's like no real reason to do so. But I think it's very interesting because, well, first off, it can make a lot of these people arrogant. And I think social media and just gaining any sort of following on there can make you arrogant, thinking that you are like some expert or that you're better than everyone else because for some reason you stumble across something that's achieved a huge following, which is not something a lot of people can do. And I think this is something everyone should try and avoid because with arrogance comes a lot of problems like not accepting or considering other people's opinions and thinking you're always right and then not really growing or anything like that. And more than that, it's also very dangerous because especially with something like YouTube or any other social media platform, sure, generally there may be successful things that you do, especially if you're some sort of personality or brand that consistently creates quality, and you could be some expert in your field, but oftentimes, not always though, but oftentimes you just got lucky, and you really just don't really know why it's working, but it's working, and then you just don't know what's going on, and then you just get very arrogant thinking like you're like the king or queen of YouTube, and then it just like you're not growing, and then you're not like the type of person anyone wants to really talk to, and it's one of those things where it's like horrible. Um, but moving on from that, I think the thing that's very interesting though is how vast YouTube is. It's kind of like the world or the internet or certain websites out there like Reddit.com where it's just so vast. Like when you have something where hundreds of millions of people are going on it, there's going to be a huge wide variety of stuff. Same thing with Facebook, and you like it's hard to articulate how vast it is, but from someone who's experienced it, it's just like there's gaming, and then there's all these niches of gaming, and then there's business and self-development all in all these niches and subcategories of them, and then there's like this one channel, for instance, that it's like a subcategory of that, and it's like this female has hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and she has like a full production crew, and all her videos are very well done, and she just it's almost like her own TV show, and yet at the same time it's just like, okay, this is all great and stuff. You have this like business going for females on self-development and achieving a greater return on your business and all this stuff, and it's great, but at the same time it's like she's sort of like far off from all of it. It's kind of like she's like, you can't help but get on the side of arrogance when you have all that production crew and all that stuff and you think you're doing so well, and it makes you think, like when you realize that, okay, you have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, you have this whole production crew, all these makeup artists to help you with your videos and all this stuff, but at the same time it's like There are thousands of channels that are arguably more successful if you measure them by views or subscribers or all of that. So I think generally, and this is just my theory, but in order to ground yourself, you have to stay humble and realize, well, these are just quantitative measures of what you're doing. And if you have like a higher purpose or calling, like you really want to inspire people to do better, or lift people out of abusive or dark or situations that they believe that they can't get out of, that's a measure that's really will be more healthy for you and keep you happier and keep you away from arrogance. Um, but I mean, I would encourage all of you guys, if you have any time, to just really take a look at it. Like there are, if you search on Google, top 1,000 most subscribed YouTube channels, there are thousands of channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers with all these different categories, and most, if not all of them, are they're unaware of anything outside of their topic of interest. And even in that topic of interest, a lot of them are just a lot of those people who create content, they don't even look to people doing similar content in their area. They're just like on their own little island, and they're just creating makeup or ceramics or sewing and stuff like that. And that's great for them because that's all they're interested in. But I think it's very, very interesting how vast YouTube is, and at the same time it's like it's pretty darn cool. And I feel like there's always something to learn from most of these channels, whether it's how they've managed to achieve so many views, or how remarkable it is that they're so interested in their topic, and how much amazing stuff that they can create with knitting or makeup or whatever it is. And it's really just, it makes me think, and especially with this sort of platform, you can sort of really study it and figure out, well, what are the similarities between these successful channels, what do they do, what that do others do, and you see a lot of things pop up, like use of thumbnails, good editing, quick videos, concise, to the point, blah blah blah. And obviously you also see differences or unique things that certain people do that others don't. So it's all very interesting, and I mean, it's just so ridiculous, really. Like I'm just, I was just on YouTube today, and I was looking at this channel, like the 1,000th channel I've seen with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and this one really just struck me because it was just like it's kind of like she's off in her own little island with her own little community of hundreds of thousands of people, and it's all fine and dandy, and at the same time it's kind of like, it's kind of bizarre because it's like she's successful, but she doesn't understand that, not really, but she is also. And again, that also kind of implies that you can't fall into the other extreme, which is always trying to claw your way to the top and measuring yourself by your subscribers or your views, and quantitative measurements, and then just constantly try to keep up with the Joneses, which is a saying for always keeping up with people better than you, because there's always going to be someone better than you, and then you'll never win, you'll always be discontent, blah 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 blah. And I think it's interesting because the people who are oftentimes the most subscribed YouTuber, it oftentimes changes. It used to be Nigahiga, then, and it was Fred at one point, and then it was Ray William Johnson, and then before that it was Smosh, and now it's PewDiePie with 33 million subscribers on YouTube. All of these people, especially PewDiePie, they did this stuff because they loved what they were doing. They didn't really give a crap about competing. I mean, they were aware of it to a certain extent, and they did stuff to optimize their channel. But PewDiePie, I definitely feel he's kept his level of humbleness throughout this, which is quite incredible. And it's interesting because the more I study it, the more I've changed, because I remember about over a year ago, I did a video on my gaming channel, just like very confused after finding out about PewDiePie, about why he was so famous, and I did this whole rant on it, and it got a lot of dislikes. And now I'm just like, after really understanding and researching him, it's like I've had a complete change of heart. So yeah, it's all very interesting stuff, and yeah, you guys should take a look yourself. It's interesting because despite there being hundreds of, you know, if not thousands of channels with so many views and subscribers, at the same time, despite all these eyeballs going on YouTube, if you ask the average teenager or the average student or anyone off the street, like and you ask them like how often they watch YouTube, if they know of any channels, typically they usually have just like one or two big ones that they recognize. So it's kind of like the world is such a vast, huge place, and making even a big splash in the pond of YouTube really doesn't make that big a splash in the pond of the world. I mean, forget the world, even your country. So that's just incredible in itself, because it's just like, wow, not much you can do is going to impact all those people in Africa or wherever who don't really care about you, don't know who you are, and so forth. And at the same time, it's kind of like, well, you can't always measure yourself like that constantly. You can strive for that, which is great, but also you have to try and just, make the most impact with the people that you can around you. And that's why one of the reasons why I think I have great faith in the United States and other Western countries, because of how their system's set up. Their system is set up to educate, inspire, motivate, and unleash the potential on all these people, whereas other systems out there, they don't have YouTube or anything like that to really help them and inspire them. Although most of YouTube's going to very entertaining stuff that doesn't really inspire or motivate or educate people, it's exciting to see that some of it is, and I feel like that number is growing, and I'm excited about that. So I think it's very interesting, and thank you so much for watching.